Have you ever been brave enough to stare directly into the face of the beginning? Imagine, in the spine-chilling stillness of the void, we have just pulled off a breathtaking close approach. Thread the needle through blinding light, slipping a fragile thread through the dazzling beam of billions of years of history. We have just seen it. The most ancient planet, a primordial protogalaxy named MOMZ-14, existing when the universe was still a child only 280 million years old. An entity dwelling in a place where, in theory, there should have been nothing but darkness and an emptiness so absolute it felt hopeless. For many decades, we have lived in a prolonged silence, decades of silence, while the secrets of the cosmic dawn remained infuriatingly elusive. We have played cosmic hide-and-seek with the ghosts of the past, where the first sparks of light appeared only once, then gone. But in January 2026, the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, dropped a thermonuclear bomb that shook every foundation of understanding. In an early universe we thought was dark and cold, MOMZ-14 appears like an ember in a roaring fire. With an unimaginable redshift $Z equals $14.44, it does not merely break dry records. It is challenging the arrogance of the human intellect. It is brighter, faster, and more complex than any script we have ever drafted. Could this be the final piece to decode the origin of life-bearing worlds? Or a relic from cosmic dawn warning that we have misunderstood everything? Prepare yourself for an existential shiver, because to understand why MOMZ-14 can shatter perception so powerfully, we must turn back to JWST, the golden superhero that has carried out the greatest journey backward in time in history. To reach MOMZ-14, humanity had to forge a golden god suspended in the void. Imagine a $10 billion technological wonder, leaving Earth's embrace at the end of 2021 to journey toward its lonely resting point at Lagrange L2, a gravitational oasis 1.5 million kilometers away. There, in the bone-piercing cold of deep space, the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, is carrying out a mission beyond imagination. It is not merely looking into space, it is looking straight through the skin of time. JWST does not function like ordinary telescopes that only gather visible light. It possesses a pair of infrared divine eyes, NIRCam and NIRSpec, allowing it to perform a feat scientists call thread the needle through blinding light, slipping a thread through the dazzling beams of young galaxies to search for the faintest remnants from the very dawn of creation. With its massive 6.5-meter primary mirror, coated in a thin layer of gold to maximize infrared reflection, Webb can capture photons that have traveled for billions of years, stretched into deep red by the expansion of the universe. Before MOMZ-14 emerged and overturned every ranking, JWST had already left the world breathless, with records such as JADE's GSZ-14-0 at a redshift of $Z equals $14.18. But the universe always seems to know how to mock human pride. The moment we thought we had reached the limit of the cosmic dawn, MOMZ-14 appeared, with a value of $Z equals $14.44. This is not just a dry number on a spectral chart. It is proof that JWST is constantly surpassing itself, smashing the cognitive barriers we have painstakingly built throughout decades of silence, the powerless decades of the old generation telescopes. Why is this instrument so perception-shattering? Because before Webb became operational, our most standard cosmological models painted an early era that was dark, cold, and slow. We believed it would take hundreds of millions of years for matter to clump together enough to ignite the very first sparks of light. And yet, JWST has flipped the entire board. It reveals an early universe more radiant, chaotic, and energetic than any computer simulation could have imagined. The first galaxies were not timid. They were powerful, blazing, and forming at a terrifying speed. MOMZ-14 is not just a point of light that appeared once, then gone. It is a relic from cosmic dawn, an artifact from the universe's first morning, telling the story of an era when light and matter danced in a frenzied waltz. Its presence, with absolute statistical significance, has forced scientists to ask, are the laws of galaxy formation we have long trusted becoming outdated? Imagine MOMZ-14 as a warm stone after sunset, a stone still holding heat after the sun has disappeared. Though the sun of the Big Bang faded long ago, the glowing warmth of these galaxies remains, defying the icy emptiness of the void. It suggests the possibility of life-bearing worlds far earlier than we ever assumed, when stardust and heavy elements were forged inside the universe's first nuclear furnaces. And now, hold your breath. We will not simply watch from afar anymore. Let us descend into the epicenter of this event to peel apart every number, every feature of the main character, MOMZ-14, an entity so ancient it will leave you staring in awe at the grandeur and the contradictions of nature itself. Let your mind drift away from the bustling reality of Earth, beyond the lights of cities, beyond even the boundaries of the solar system, toward a faint golden point of light, fragile yet fiercely resilient, hidden within the deep cosmos field. That is MOMZ-14, an entity we cherish as the most ancient planet, though in truth it is a primordial galaxy, a primitive world holding the key to unlocking the door into the cosmic dawn, the dawn of the universe. Look at the numbers screaming about the grandeur of nature. With a staggering redshift value of $Z equals $14.44, MOMZ-14 manifests from an era when the universe was still a child, only 280 million years old, equivalent to just 2% of the current age of all existence. For this beam of light to reach the golden mirror of JWST, it had to endure a solitary journey across 13.5 billion years of light travel. Yet because space has never stopped expanding in the intoxicated surge of dark energy, the proper distance between us and this relic has now stretched to 33.8 billion light-years, a number beyond ordinary senses, a distance that even the richest imagination must recoil from. MOMZ-14 is unbelievably small, only about 74 parsecs, roughly 240 light-years, across 50 times smaller than our Milky Way. It is like a cosmic pea suspended in a stadium of endless darkness. And yet, within that tiny form lies an ember in a roaring fire, blazing with an absolute brightness of $M, UV, equals negative $20.2. It shines with abnormal intensity, more than 100 times brighter than any standard cosmological model ever predicted for a galaxy at such an age. How did we find this ember in such a merciless game of cosmic hide-and-seek? It was a breathless chase of technology and perseverance. At first, JWST's NIRC only caught a faint golden smudge, tiny among billions of galaxies. But when scientists decided to thread the needle through blinding light, they used NIRS-SPEC to split that glow into bands of chemical rainbow. The result was truly a slap to old understanding. A sharp Lyman alpha break emerged, accompanied by clear traces of the element nitrogen. This was the passport confirming MOMZ-14's identity with near absolute statistical significance. The presence of nitrogen at such an impossibly early epoch is like finding a trace of precious metal inside a prehistoric tomb that should contain nothing but stone and dirt. We call MOMZ-14 an ancient planet, not to distort scientific concepts, but because each galaxy at this stage is like a singular world, a primordial cradle where millions, billions of the very first stars are crowding together into formation. It is a relic from cosmic dawn, an artifact from the first morning, proving that the early universe was never calm or silent. On the contrary, it was an age of explosions, of construction at insane speed, where the first grains of stardust were beginning to shape the possibility of life-bearing worlds. MOMZ-14 appears as an affirmation after decades of silence, the helpless decades humanity spent facing the mysteries of the deep. It was once infuriatingly elusive, but now it is exposing all its radiance beneath the lens of James Webb. It is not a phenomenon that appeared once, then gone, but an eternal proof of the fierce vitality of matter itself. Imagine yourself standing on the surface of a fictional planet inside MOMZ 14. The sky would not be black with sparkling stars as we see today, but a blazing realm of infrared nebulae where massive stars are dying and being reborn in the blink of an eye. It is a chilling reality, a brutal beauty of the beginning. But do you know what is truly terrifying and irresistible? MOMZ 14 is not only distant and ancient. What scientists have just discovered inside its structure contains paradoxes so enormous they threaten to destroy the entire system of knowledge we have painstakingly built. How vast are these mysteries? Why does its existence force us to rewrite the textbooks? Prepare yourself for a revolution in perception in the next part, where the true monsters of the early universe will finally reveal themselves. If the universe is a symphony, then MOMZ 14 is the sudden high note echoing through an overture we once believed was silent. It is not merely a record of distance. It is a rebellion against every physical rule humanity has painstakingly built throughout decades of silence. When James Webb gazes upon this relic, it does not see a childish galaxy taking its first trembling steps. Instead, it sees an entity screaming with terrifying intensity, an ember in a roaring fire defying the icy emptiness of the void. The first shock that left physicists stunned is its brightness and speed. According to the standard LSCDM cosmological model, the early universe should have been a slow place, where matter needed billions of years to sculpt complex structures. Yet MOMZ 14 shines more than 100 times brighter than any prediction. Its star formation rate, SFR, is not a gentle flow, it is an eruption. In just the most recent 5 million years, a blink in the fossilized timescale, this rate has surged tenfold compared to the previous stage. The early universe was never gentle. It was a blazing metallurgical furnace, where galaxies were growing up at an unimaginable pace. But the true shock lies in its chemical fingerprints. Through the eyes of NearSpec, MOMZ 14 reveals an abundance of nitrogen so absurd it borders on impossible. NC is greater than $1, even higher than the Sun. This is a staggering paradox. In a universe only 280 million years old, where could there have been enough time for ordinary stars to synthesize such enormous amounts of nitrogen? The answer can only lie in the true monsters, supermassive stars. These giants burn brilliantly but briefly, dying to seed the elements for the next generation. This discovery is like finding a flawless diamond inside a pile of primordial ashes. It directly links MOMZ 14 to the most ancient stars within our own Milky Way, suggesting that we are the direct descendants of these catastrophic explosions. The third surprise is its chilling purity. With a UV slope of beta equals negative $2.5, MOMZ 14 contains almost no dust. It is a pristine entity where the light of young stars reigns supreme. Most strikingly, the absence of a damping wing in its spectrum indicates that the surrounding region of space was ionized far earlier than expected. MOMZ 14 is not merely existing, it is actively clearing the neutral hydrogen fog, lighting up the universe and accelerating the reionization era hundreds of millions of years earlier than what we had ever written into textbooks. It is like a warm stone after sunset, holding onto heat and dissolving the darkness that once covered everything. Faced with this undeniable data, Rohan Naidu from MIT exclaimed, "We are seeing farther than ever before, and it looks nothing like what we predicted. This is both a brutal challenge and an overwhelming thrill." MOMZ 14 has become an infuriatingly elusive entity because it refuses to obey old laws. It forces scientists to consider exotic factors such as primordial black holes or entirely unknown physical mechanisms to explain why everything happened so fast. The presence of MOMZ 14 proves that our understanding of the beginning of all things has only ever been a scattered fragment. It appeared once, then gone, yet forever changed how we define the dawn. This discovery does not merely break physical theories. It opens a new horizon for the possibility of life-bearing worlds emerging from the very first remnants of the Big Bang. So, if MOMZ-14 has rewritten the past, what does it tell us about the future? What do these shards of the cosmic dawn mean for humanity's place in the eternal flow? Let us step into the final chapter, where we will contemplate the profound meaning of this miracle for humankind. When the light from MOMZ-14 touches the golden mirror of James Webb, it does not merely carry spectral data, it carries an existential message about our own origins. Finding such a radiant, chemically rich galaxy at just 280 million years after the Big Bang has officially ended decades of silence. The decades in which we mistakenly imagined the early universe as dark and mute. Now we understand that the cosmic dawn was not a faint awakening, but a magnificent explosion, where the first nuclear furnaces worked in frenzy to sculpt reality itself. The scientific meaning of MOMZ-14 runs far deeper than a Redshift record. It is a universal key that helps us decode the expansion of the universe and the nature of dark energy. If matter could clump together and form these brilliant beacons so quickly, we are forced to ask, are the fundamental laws of physics concealing some hidden secret about the way space bends time? MOMZ-14 is like a warm stone after sunset. Even though the sun of the origin has long gone out, it still radiates enough heat for us to feel the intensity of an era of chaotic early maturity. But what truly makes us shiver in astonishment is the implication for life. If galaxies like MOMZ-14 formed rapidly and became rich in heavy elements, like nitrogen, in the blink of cosmic history, then the possibility of life-bearing worlds is no longer a distant fantasy. Imagine the first rocky planets, forged from the ashes of supermassive stars, orbiting ancient suns within the earliest habitable zones. We may be the late descendants of a lineage of matter that began dancing 5 billion years ago. The atoms in your body today could be relics from cosmic dawn, artifacts from the universe's first morning, traveling across billions of light years before gathering into life on Earth. Across social media platforms like X, the global community is boiling with excitement. The account at Dreams and Science wrote on February 1st, 2026, "Billions of galaxies glittering in the cosmos field. JWST has just proven that the early universe was nothing like we thought. It was radiant and insanely mature. This thrill does not belong only to scientists. It belongs to all humanity. JWST has shown that humans, though merely tiny creatures on a pale blue dust mote, can still thread the needle through blinding light and touch the beginning of all things. We have shattered our perception of our own limits, turning what was once infuriatingly elusive into knowledge that illuminates the future." MOMZ-14 appeared once, then gone, to remind us that we are not alone in the river of time. We are part of a far greater script. These galaxies are our ancestors, our roots, and a promise of discoveries yet unimaginable. James Webb is rewriting every page of the cosmic textbook, and each new page